Good morning. Today is Wednesday, August 29th. My name is Bonnie Flint and I'm running for the Utah House of Representatives. I'm speaking with you every day about issues that are important to me, and this week is my education week because it is the back to school week for the teachers in Davis School District. And today I want to speak to you about the importance of supporting language learning, especially in our heritage Spanish students. In our district, we have about 69,000 students, and of those students, 4,000 are receiving ESL assistance. And ESL sometimes refers to as English as a second language or English language learners. But either way you look at it, these students need help succeeding in our classrooms because English is not their first language. We have 71 different languages spoken by our students here in Davis District, everything from Chinese, Japanese, Tagalog, Spanish, and many Polynesian languages. 75% of those students, however, do have Spanish as their first language. Around the country, in the news, even in our own state, we often hear politicians and policymakers say English only. We have to only teach these students English. And I mean no disrespect, but the people who say that don't understand language learning. When you're learning a language, the level at which you will become proficient, fluent, literate in a second language is largely dependent on how literate, fluent, and proficient you are in your first language. In fact, your first language is a leveler at which all other language learning will be leveled out. So if we have a student move into Davis School District and they're 7 years old and they just moved here with their family from Guatemala, and when they left Guatemala, they left their education in the Spanish language behind. Educationally speaking, that is pretty much where their fluency and literacy of Spanish will now level out. A 7-year-old, maybe second grade. We all know that in our country we value English speaking so much that we start our students doing English lessons in kindergarten and we continue all the way through 12th grade. And even in the universities, English is still a required course because language learning is almost a lifelong process for almost all of us. And to think that a student's going to become proficient in their first language by stopping at age 7 or 8 or 9 is just not realistic. And because we now know through plentiful research that how proficient you'll be able to come in your second language is almost entirely dependent on how proficient and literate you are in your first language, we have got to start doing things differently. Here's what I look at it. Every day in my job, I'm looking for funding, looking for opportunities, and looking for support from people to better educate our Davis School District students to become biliterate, bicultural, and understanding of other cultures. Then on the other hand, down the hall, the ESL people are taking students in from other countries who have many of those skills already. They understand other cultures and understand other people, and they already speak a second language now that they're learning English. And their Spanish skills, conversantly, are actually usually pretty good. They just don't have the ability to read and write or to do many of the tasks required in education and business in that first language. And the ESL teachers that we have in our district, they're doing marvelous jobs, but their job is not to give those students better Spanish-speaking skills. It's to help them better survive their classes and give them the English skills that they need. But we know that they can't become better at English than they are in Spanish. So what we need to start doing as a people, as an educational system, is starting to promote Spanish classes for our heritage speakers. And it seems counterintuitive to some people, I get that. But it's absolutely necessary. What's happening now is the kids are coming to our schools at age 7 or 8 or 9, like I said, and their Spanish never gets better. And then we're expecting them to do well in 7th grade social studies, or 8th grade English, or 9th grade geography. And they don't have the abilities to do that in the English language. And they can't because the English language can't get better than their Spanish was. So what happens to those students when they hit 8th or 9th grade and they're not able to do well? And they're frustrated because the teachers can't see that they are very smart. They just don't have the language skills to show it. Well, I'll tell you what happens. Almost across the board, they drop out. Well, actually, we've been doing much better. About 4 years ago, the dropout rate of our Spanish students receiving ELL services was around 75%. This past year, it was 52%. So you can see we're doing much better, but we're still not graduating about half of our Spanish-speaking ELL kids. And it's not because they're stupid. It's not because they don't want to do the work. It's that they can't. And it's frustrating when you can't do the work and show your abilities. But you know, for those half of them that hang on, they keep going along. You know what happens when they hit 12th grade? They graduate. And then you know what? Then we're graduating these students who are illiterate in 2 languages. In neither Spanish or English could they write a college entrance essay. In neither Spanish nor English could they write a business plan. These are skills these kids are going to need to know to survive in the 21st century, and we're not giving it to them, and it's not okay. We have got to do better by these bright, talented, language-gifted students. And it doesn't take much effort, but it does take a shifting in ideals and a shifting of understanding in policymakers and legislators who need to know that we need to be giving these kids Spanish instruction so that when they hit 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, they can better formulate their ideas in the spoken and the written word, that then they can go on to their high school classes and do well and write an essay that addresses the topic and go on to graduate from not only high school but also university. So when they become part of our workforce, they are prepared to contribute and do the best they can no matter what they want to do when they, quote, grow up. And I just would love to have you learn more about this topic because it's so dear to me. And these kids, I've actually seen them and have taught them myself. In fact, on a personal note, the last school I taught at was Bountiful Junior High. And the last year I taught, I had the 2 most brilliant girls. One was from actually Guatemala and one was from Mexico. They did so well in my French class. They were already language learners. They spoke Spanish well. I thought they spoke English very well. And they were learning French at a remarkable rate. And I thought of those 2 beautiful, brilliant girls, and I thought to myself, they could do anything in the world they want now. They have so much going for them. Later that year, I left the classroom and went into administration at the district offices. And as often the case in my job, I have to run errands and get ready for trainings and things. And I was at Target in Centerville one day around lunchtime. And I walked to the deli counter, and there were both of those beautiful girls who now should have been in 10th grade. And they were working in the deli at lunchtime. And I said to them, "What are you doing here? Why aren't you in school?" And they both told me that they had dropped out at the end of their 9th grade year. But it was going to be okay because they had this great job at Target working in the deli. And my heart broke in 1,000 pieces because they had everything going their way. Except they didn't have strong enough English skills to really show what they knew and what their cognitive skills were. And to best prepare them for the future, we should have done so much better. I feel like I totally failed those girls, and I'm not very happy about it. And I'm not happy that we're failing so many thousands of our Spanish-speaking kids in Utah when we can absolutely prepare them better for the 21st century.